It was towards the end of 2015 when I realized that with the score that I have right now, I would not be able to study in any German university. And the reason behind that was I was trying to speak to a few seniors, and turns out they told me their scores and they asked me about my score, and they were like, with this it is going to be very difficult. And they were talking about 75%, and it's not possible for me to get inside with 75% in XYZ programs. And I think like my CGPA was, I don't even remember right now, I think it was 7.43 CGPA. So if you multiply it with 9.5, so it should come around 70, something like that. So I was like, okay, like this is not going to be a possibility, so I have to look around. After doing a little bit more research and writing to a few universities, turns out that the German programs have a lot more seats available. That means that it's easier to get inside the German taught programs. So I was like, okay, let me try that. Now, the situation I was in at that time, I was living in a small village because the university was in a small village called Murthal, and it is in the city of Sonipat in Haryana state in India. And there was no language institutions nearby which are going to teach you German or something similar. If you would have something, it would be something very basic. You could go to Delhi. Most of the students from our university, Deenbandhu Chhoturam University of Science and Technology, used to go to Delhi because that was the closest major city in which they can get any kind of coaching, and many students used to go for GATE. And it would take around 1 hour drive, I think 1.5 hour drives to go there, and then also like within Delhi it would take you at least like 1 and 1.5 hours to reach to the destination place where you're going. So it used to be always a drama of like 2 to 3 hours. And if you think about like 3 hours going there, 3 hours coming back, it just like really did not make so much sense. So going to Delhi to learn German, because I have to learn German. If you don't learn German, if I don't learn German, I will not be able to get inside the programs that I want to study. I will not be able to start my master's. So it was a big thing for me. Either I figure out a way to learn German, or I have no option at all to, leave this kind of life that I'm living right now in India and hope for something better. Because what would be my life in India after I would be done with my BTech? I would still be applying for jobs. I would still be preparing for government exams. And many of my friends, what they did was they attended a non-attending master's program for 2 years. They were preparing for their exams on the side. And now, at the age of 27 or 28, they have started their life. They have started working in some kind of government jobs and so on. And this is the first time they're leaving their parents' home to live an independent life. And that's a big difference. I never wanted to go down that path. That was like not an option for me at all. So this was a big dilemma. Like, how do I start learning German? Because I'm restrained by these kind of boundary conditions that I'm in this village. I have limited resources. What do I do with that? Going to Delhi and back was just too much of a time waste. It's too much time wasted in commute. And what a lot of people also overlook is that when you're going somewhere and coming back, you also get tired. That means you want to relax a bit. You want to eat something. When you eat something, then you get lazy, and then afterwards you look at the clock and 2-3 hours are gone again. That's not ideal if you want to learn something and if you have limited time left, because you're doing your bachelor's, and alongside your bachelor's you have to learn German. At that time, in the last year, in the last semester, I was doing my bachelor thesis. Right, so in the bachelor thesis, again, you have some time, but again, like not so much time that you can just skill all of it. So how do I start? No? The way I started at that time was I started with Duolingo, and it was, I think, end of 2015 when I just like started looking around on Duolingo, started doing some exercises and so on. I used to spend a lot of time on Duolingo. It was so much that like other people would be going out and like meeting friends, and I would be sitting in my hostel room and I would be like learning things on Duolingo, and I would write everything. It's very important. If you're learning German or any other language, you have to write things. You cannot learn a language without using a pen and paper. Keep this in mind. No matter what kind of language you're learning, no matter what kind of skill you're acquiring, no matter what kind of thing you want to learn, you cannot do that without a pen and paper. Some people can argue with me, you can do that, whatever. I don't care. Like, you cannot do that, because it is very important that whatever kind of like understanding you're making of the things that you're learning right now, you're able to reproduce it directly on the paper. That's very important. That this gives you the confirmation that you have understood. what you're like, learning, and you're able to make a summary out of it. So that's very important. That's what I used to do. But very soon I realized that like Duolingo is a bad way to learn German because it's very repetitive. For Duolingo, the best way for people to bring, for people to come back to the app and so on is first of all to give them a feeling that they are doing good, right? Like you have to give that feeling, otherwise nobody is going to come back if they're just getting beaten down every single time. And with that, you have to give some kind of difficulties. So for them, the optimization is the time spent on the app and not necessarily how much you're progressing in the language, right? So that's what I realized. And this is the time when I thought, okay, it does not make sense. Let me buy the books. So I bought the books for A1, A2, and B1. And this is how I started, right? Like A1, A2, B1, I bought the books and I had YouTube videos and I was like just doing a lot of mistakes. But my motivation was that as long as I'm able to finish these books, this means I'm finishing a particular level. And it worked out pretty well. The problem there was that it was a lot of organizing and it was a lot of like, going back and forth, looking around and trying to find on Google if I'm having any kind of questions and so on. And there wasn't anybody like, who was also, let's say, somebody who learned German on his own to kind of tell me what kind of questions you might have and what could be the solutions to that and how to like look at things to learn German faster. But that is what I figured out. And now after 6 years, the reason I'm doing these German vlogs and the reason I wanted to make this video is that it is very easy for people to make vlogs in English. It is very easy to for people to make vlogs in Hindi and so on. It's the mother tongue. This is how you grew up. This is how you learned to speak things. But it is very challenging for most people to even get over the fear of speaking German and get over the fear of speaking German and then putting it out on YouTube as a foreigner. It actually is. Most of the people, what they do is they end up going back to English. They end up going back to their native language. And that's the reason I started these German vlogs. The motivation behind starting these German vlogs is, first of all, it is like more challenging for me. Even right now, like, it's always more comfortable to speak in English. And it will always, I think it would almost always be more comfortable to speak in English because you've spent more time knowing that language, right? For me, it is more challenging to speak German, and I like that. It does not feel boring right now. I've done so many things right now that I have to figure out new challenges. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is like, it is very important for me to show you that you should follow people who are doing the things which they are preaching to. And I think that is very important. I've always told you guys about learning German because if you don't learn German, it is not going to be beneficial for you in Germany. But if you do learn German, you're going to stand out from the 100 people. You're going to be the one person who stands out because you have good proficiency of the language and you're coming to Germany as a foreigner and you are going to be then given priority in whatever kind of places, whatever kind of jobs you want to do. And that's extremely beneficial. The main motivation is that if you see somebody else who is also an Indian or is also a foreigner who learned German, did his master's in a German taught program, and then afterwards is going about his daily life in German, making different kind of comments and so on, that you understand it is also possible for you to get to that level. I very clearly remember the time when I felt like I'm never going to be fluent in German because the language just felt so complicated. And now, when I'm fluent in German and I'm able to understand things just fine, I'm able to speak things, I'm able to write without any kind of problems, it just feels like a distant memory. It feels like, why didn't anybody tell me at that time that it is actually 100% doable? And maybe if I would have gotten more role models I could look up to, people I could look up to, that, hey, this person has done it, I can do it too, it would have been so much easier. Because there's a difference. Look, there's a very big, you have so many language institutions in India where like German teachers are teaching you German, right? But teaching from the book, it's very easy. Like, I can also open a book right now and I can make all the courses for B1, B2, C1, C2 and so on. If I just have the book in front of me and I'm like teaching you these things right away. And whenever you have any kind of questions to ask, I know like what the grammar and stuff behind it is because I've just repeated it so many times that I can like tell it to you right away. But for you to learn the context, for you to learn the culture, for you to actually apply all of that knowledge in real life. That's the biggest difference. And that is what I want to show you, right? And this is why I'm so happy that actually Alina is also like kind of doing it together with me, because doing these things alone is rather boring. I mean, I could still be making all of these vlogs. I think the first vlog that I made was mostly by myself, which was vlog number 1 in German. And you can also check the playlist. I will put it down in the description of this video. This is the playlist of all of the German vlogs. And it got boring. So I'm happy that Alina, even though she's busy with her marriage business, so she has her own company, marryindenmark.com, where she helps couples to get married in Denmark, she's still taking out time and like she's helping me out with all of this. And that's like actually a lot more fun than doing it by yourself. So use these vlogs, watch these vlogs so that you're able to get an understanding of things, so that you're able to understand the context in what kind of scenarios, what could you be saying. Because yes, it is nice to look at native German speakers who are teaching German on YouTube, right? Of course it is nice, and I'm very happy that there's so much content out there about this. But at the same time, I personally feel it is a lot more relatable to see another Indian who had no idea of German previously and then afterwards learned German and is also now speaking German with his wife who grew up in Germany and is a native German speaker. So like this kind of contrast is very interesting to see. So use that, like, you know, watch these vlogs. And I'm also uploading the exercises for some of these vlogs in the Faster German A1 and A2 courses, so that you're able to watch the vlog and then afterwards you go back to the course and you're able to, like, you know, do some exercises there. And here's also another thing that you would find. If you have done the Faster German in A1 and A2, right, at the A2 level, you would already be able to understand a lot of the things that we're speaking about in the vlog anyways. So it's not something that you're supposed to, that you will start understanding at B1 or B2. No, that's the funny thing that I'm telling you. Like, even at the more basic levels, you will be able to grasp a lot of the things that are being spoken about in these kind of vlogs in German. So do that. I mean, like, I do not see a reason for you to delay. At my time, the courses which were available for learning German, either they were too expensive online, or even, like, you know, physical classes, they are like pretty expensive. And it would take additional time for me to go from the village where I was staying at and 2-3 hours of commute back and forth. And that was not a possible option. But right now, at least you don't have that problem at all. You can still go ahead, you can start learning German from the comfort of your home. And the courses that we have now on Big Academy, they are the most affordable courses out there. You can search on Google. These are the most affordable courses out there, which are built together with a native German speaker, because every single time there's a native German speaker involved, like, the prices go up. But for us, it's a nice combination of having a native German speaker and having a person who learned German himself, so that they can both teach you their side of the things, right? So that way it is extremely unique course, and you're not going to find anything like that anywhere else. And A1 is only for 5,000 and A2 is only for 5,000. So combined also, like, it's just like 10,000 or something. And you can avail it with the link given in description, right? So there's no reason for you to kind of like delay this. Of course, you can start very easily with Duolingo and stuff, but you're going to follow the same path that I went through, that you will realize that to learn the language, you need to have some kind of structure to it. You need to have a notebook and paper. And spending time on Duolingo and other free apps generally just optimizes you to spend more time on the app instead of learning the language further. I've read people's stories who have covered like A1 and A2 in 2 months, and many people have covered A1 simply in 1 month or in a few weeks, and they're rather very happy with the course. So you can also like take a look at the free preview lessons given in the course curriculum and go through it to get a better understanding of it, right? So I would say follow the people who are doing what they preach. I think that's very important. And I think it is also very important for you to believe that even though you are at a stage right now where you feel like you will never be fluent in German, that you will never be able to understand somebody speak German fluently and, like, you know, just comprehend it completely one-to-one. But a time like that would come, for sure. It's just a matter of time, it is just a matter of efforts. And it is just a matter of structure. Once you have these 3 things in place, it is not going to be a problem for you at all to get to a level of fluency where you are also able to speak things just fine, understand things just fine. And I tell you another secret. When you do that, you will be very proud.